Hello and welcome to a workshop about configuring the OpenLM system. I am Sagi, and in the next 40 minutes we will go over the installation process of the OpenLM system and see exactly how we can configure it. So we'll take a look first at the installation of Broker Server Agent, and we will also configure everything. So I will go over all the checkboxes and just about anything regarding the configuration of the OpenLM Broker, Server, and Agent in the core product. I'm not going to go into any extensions if I don't have time. And also we'll take a look at what's new in version 4.3. So first of all, I just want to go over the structure of OpenLM. Most of you might already know the structure, but I will just give a short overview on the matter, just for everybody to be on the same page. So you have your license server, right? On it you have MATLAB, you have Autodesk, you have CATIA, you have many different licensing vendors. On that, you install the OpenLM Broker. So you will see me install today the OpenLM Broker on a license server, which has a license manager. It connects to the OpenLM core, which sits on a network server. And if you want to view it, you simply use any device, any browser, just connect to the OpenLM core and see the data, see your reports. So we got the OpenLM Broker on the license server, OpenLM core in a central place, and we got the workstations as well. As you can see right here, the workstations, they connect to the OpenLM core with the core product, but if you are using an extension like the app manager, so it will go through the app manager. But I'm going to keep everything core product for now. So let's just get things out of the way first. You probably want to know what's new in version 4.3. We came out with a new version about a week ago, I think, maybe a bit more. And the major changes, there are a lot of changes, but most of them are fairly small, not big enough to show. If I'll find something along the way, I will show you, but basically it's this list. So first of all, we have the GDPR compliance. The GDPR, it's making everybody crazy nowadays. So you can ask to delete your databases, to delete the data that we store, any personal information. You can ask and we will delete it. You can also anonymize your whole database. So you'll have no details there, no users, no username, no last name, nothing. Everything is encrypted. So you can do that if you want. Now you'll have an OpenLM ID with version 4.3. You will see it in the OpenLM Server configuration tool. We will see it soon. This OpenLM ID is your product ID, your account ID. Meaning that next time that you come to support or sales, for that matter, you can just give us your OpenLM ID and we'll know it's you. We won't have to question you where you're from, who you are, and all that. We know exactly who you are. Now this is a part of the configuration screen, as I will show you later on. The OpenLM Agent had a few enhancements done to it. First of all, there's a huge reduction in CPU and memory load on the agent machine. But the reduction is also on the database, because a lot of agents, they insert the data to the database, to the OpenLM database. It sends to the OpenLM server and it stores it in the database. Now, the load was also greatly reduced. So anything coming from the agent to the server to the database is using batch processing. It's much easier, much faster now. The OpenLM server itself also had a reduction in memory consumption. So some of you with very, very large installations saw that OpenLM server is starting to struggle after a lot of license managers. So now, no problem, you can put thousands of license managers on it and it will run smoothly. We also support now the Altium Designer Private License Server. And we have a new kid on the block, which is NVIDIA License Manager. We also now support that. So if you have any application supported by these license managers, then you can use OpenLM to connect to them and monitor them and see their usage. And of course, there were many bug fixes, around 130 bug fixes, something like that. We suggest to go install OpenLM version 4.3, but make sure that you get the latest license file. In order to use OpenLM version 4.3, you need a compatible license file to go with that. So you can contact sales@openlm.com. They will be happy to issue you a revised license. And also, we no longer support versions older than 3.3.0.38. We made a lot of bug fixes since then. If you come to us with an issue, we're just going to tell you upgrade first. Okay, so let's jump right in. I have this machine right here, Win10 demo. This will be our main machine. Here we will install the OpenLM server. So let's start with that. In order to install the OpenLM server, it's a pretty easy process. So as you see, it's a 4.3, it's the latest version. So I just double click, this opens, and this is a simple next installation. And near the end of it, I would either be able to create my own license. I'll put in credentials, my email, my company and everything, and get a new license for evaluation. Or if I was issued a license, I'll be able to select it from this server, from this machine. So I have the license here. Okay, and while it's installing, we see that we also have the broker and the agent. So the broker, as we said, needs to go to the license server and the agent to the workstation itself. So this finished installing. I'll continue with OpenLM evaluation. I choose a license file. I have it on the desktop, demo 4.3. I'll get my site license. And that's it. Now it's asking us if you want to configure the license managers. Now we want to monitor something. We want to track something. So for that, we'll need to go to the license manager itself, to the license server, and install the OpenLM Broker there. But as you can see here on the left, you can see OpenLM ID. This is my OpenLM ID. If I contact support, I'll need to use this ID. Okay, so let's go set up a broker. So I'm going to pull that down. And this is my license server. I have a license server on this machine, which I want to monitor. It's an AutoCAD license server, a FlexLM, as you see LM tools right here. And I want to install the broker. So first of all, let's see that the LM tool is giving us data, and we have data inquiry, have status inquiry from it. So yeah, we see everything is up, we're getting the data. Now let's install the OpenLM Broker. So the latest broker, 4.3. So I already have an instance on this machine, so I'm going to install a new instance. But if you don't have, it will not ask you. And again, it's a simple click next installation, just like most of OpenLM components, as easy as possible. Once it opens up, you can either create and configure it manually, or you can let the broker detect the license managers. So in order to get to the broker after we installed it, we simply type in the search OpenLM Broker 2 broker configuration tool, or you can go to your applications, go to OpenLM Broker configuration tool. So it's telling me that the OpenLM server is not defined. I'm taking a look at the OpenLM server right here on the top here. We see that we do not have a license, an OpenLM server configured yet. So let's do that. Let's add OpenLM server. Just click here. And it's not localhost, it's pointing to Win10 demo. This is my OpenLM server machine. Let's check the connectivity. So it's connecting. Now, while we're here, let me explain a little bit about what we are seeing. So we installed the broker, and now we configured an OpenLM server. So what are all these checkboxes? So the OpenLM server and port you put here. Sending timeout, that's pretty much self-explanatory if you're using SSL, but you can also activate buffering. Now, what is buffering? Let's say that the OpenLM server goes down, then the broker stores the data that it's getting from the license manager in buffer files. Once OpenLM and the broker established connection, then the broker sends out all the data in its buffer files, so you will not have gaps in your data. Okay, so let's click apply. And let's go to the license server. We were under OpenLM servers, so let's go to the license servers. So under the license server, we see we have one server. This is the IP and the host name of it. And it detected a port, but let's say that it was not here, it did not detect it. So we can click detect right here, and it will test out all the different ports and try to find the license managers. So here it found a license manager on this port, this type. It found this license file, which is correct. Now the license file holds your packages and which licenses you have and how many and when they expire. So we can get the information about when they expire from the license file, only from the license file. So if you have a license file, it's always better to read it, because then we get an accurate depiction of your licenses, because you might have different pools of licenses. You might have different versions of the same feature. You might have several packages holding different features, and without the license file, OpenLM can't know about it. So you must configure also your license file. Now, if you don't have it configured automatically, you can set path manually and simply add it from here, and you add the license file. Now, watch license file. That means that every 300 seconds, the license file will be compared to what it has in the database, what OpenLM has in the database, to see if there was a change. If it finds that there was a change in the license file, then it gets it into OpenLM. Allow to sort license file means that you sort the file itself. You allow OpenLM to edit your file, your license file, and change the structure of it. So if you have a package and a few increments under it, so sometimes it's not laid out correctly. Sometimes it says a few increments and then the package and then a few more increments, and they're all supposed to be under the same package. So OpenLM sorts that out. It sorts your license file. You can use it, but not very, not a lot of people use it. Now, if we move on to the commands, we have two things to set here. First of all, path for commands. Now, what is that? What's the commands right here? Now, your license manager, let me open that up. Let's open the license manager, the FlexLM license manager. If I go to server status and click perform status inquiry, it will go out to a file which is called lmutil. So see right here, it goes out to this file and it gets the status from it. So this is FlexLM. This is not OpenLM, not yet. So OpenLM, like the LM tools, also uses the lmutil, but it uses the lmutil of the network license manager, of your license manager. So if it's FlexLM, it's lmutil. If it's DSLS, it's DSLeakServe. Each license server with its own lmutil, with its own file that helps to connect to the vendor port. Now here the vendor port is 27000. In this port, all this data is transmitted into. All this text that you see is transmitted outwards through this port. So why am I telling you that? Why do we care about the LM tools and what it uses? Because OpenLM mimics it. It mimics it and it reads from its license executable, from its lmutil. So we need to point to that lmutil. How do we do that? We simply take the path of it, we put it here, and just click update. Now all the commands were updated to use this lmutil. Here you see we have a data inquiry status that gives us the same inquiry as the LM tools. You see, it's the same thing because it both use the lmutil. Now, why am I telling you that? Isn't it set by default? Mostly yes, but sometimes it will go to the OpenLM default lmutil. Now it will go to here, to program files, OpenLM Broker, tool 62, lmutil. So this is lmutil is just a default lmutil that we put in the package, but you might have a different version of LM tools. You might be using a different version, and then this lmutil combined with the status inquiry it will not work. It will not work properly. It will have issues. So you need to point to the LM of the license manager, not the default OpenLM LM. You can even check that now in your brokers. If you are pointing to the default OpenLM LM, then change it. Okay, so what's the second thing right here? Now you can use the net start net stop command, and if it's unchecked, it uses the lmgrd and lmdown commands. Now these are commands of the LM tools of the license manager. It just sends it there. So let's check that, and he needs a service name. So what's the service name right here? It is Autodesk License Manager. So let's get that name. I went to Services, Autodesk License Manager, and I'll put the name here. And then let's see what he will do. Would you like to reload the start, stop, reread commands? Yes. So what would the start, stop, reread commands show now? Net start, this. So everything that I put here, I told it to use net start and use this name. If I change it, then you can see that it's no longer, it uses the lmgrd, it uses the debug log, it uses many different things where it can just use the net start or net stop, as you see here. So what are the commands? Commands mean commands to the license manager, asking the license manager something. So status, we ask it, what's your status? So it's saying license server is up. Data inquiry, we're saying who is using now? What's the status of it? Give me the status inquiry of it. So it gives you the status inquiry along with a list of all your vendors, all your features. The start, stop, and reread, it's the same as the license manager right here. If you go to start, stop, reread. So it's the same. It runs those commands on the license manager. It does an LM reread. That's a command. And that's about it for the commands. You can probably tell that if the data inquiry gives us the license output, so this is what's sent out to the OpenLM server. So yes, this is sent out to the OpenLM server. The status is sent out. The license file is being sent out. And also the options file and the debug log. Now, what is an options file? Options file is, again, something that the license manager has. It allows you to reserve different licenses, reserve features to users or group users if you want, or maybe include or exclude them from certain features. So it allows you to pretty much restrict usage to users and allow usage to others. And you can set the options file path right here. So just give it the vendor name. The vendor name, it's the vendor that you use. So I'm using ADSK Flex, which is Autodesk. And let's get it the path. So it's right here, options file. So we just write it down. Options file. Now also here we got watch options file, meaning every 600 seconds it will watch the options file to see if there were any changes. If there were, it will incorporate it. And of course, if you have an options file backup, you can also put it here. But you can also create, let's apply, you can also create another vendor by selecting vendors and clicking add vendor. Sometimes you don't have one vendor, sometimes you have many for the same license manager. And lastly, we got the debug log. Under log files, we got the debug log. If you want to create it, you just go here and click Add Log File. So the debug log, first you select the vendor that we just created. You put the name of it, you select the type of it, and you set the path to it. So again, the path is to here. And this is the LMUtil. This is the license manager debug log. Now, what do we do with the debug log? Debug log helps us to get denials. It helps us to validate usage information. Let me show you. Oh, I have no denials here. But it gives us the denials and also the validation of usage information. So if OpenLM is not sure about a certain number, let's say that the license manager with the data inquiry, it says that, oh, you have one license currently of this feature. But if OpenLM recognizes it, because OpenLM grades itself, so if it grades itself poorly, it starts looking at, well, what's going on? Why is it like that? So one of the sources it has to actually know what's going on and try to compare it to a true situation, it compares it to the debug log. So now you know how important it is. If you don't have a broker, you don't have denials. You don't have buffering of data. You can't compile your options file. You can't validate your data. You just get the data inquiry itself. So if you cannot install on anything on the license manager, then you can connect remotely to the license manager and that's it. But if you can install something on the license server and you can install the OpenLM Broker, it is very, very, very recommended because it's built to work this way. It can also work without it, but it's meant to work with it. It works best with it. And one last thing here is the data size limit and read file every 10 seconds. So it comes up to the debug log file and reads it every 10 seconds. And it sends bulks of 100 kilobytes to the OpenLM server. And you can also watch files by pattern. What does that mean? Let's say that you have a debug log that's called debug 0102 2018. And then you have another debug log, a new one, that's 0202 2018, and then 0303. So it will watch this pattern. It will know, oh, it will see two or more files like this. It will know that there is a pattern and it will be able to watch that. So you won't have to change it each time. You won't have to go here and change it to the new debug log. No, you just set watch files by pattern, and as long as you have a pattern and you don't change it, then it will compile the debug log automatically, the new debug logs. Okay, and when you finish, you just click apply, restart broker. Now, let's say that we want to create a new port because this port was created for us by the detect option. So we go here to the license server and click add port. And this will allow us to add a new port, and it has the commands, it has the vendors, we can add a new log file. Everything is the same, you see? You just have to put everything in place instead of the system. So let's delete that for now. So as we said, when we finish, we restart broker. It restarts the service of the broker. Broker has a Windows service running. This is my broker right here. When I click restart, it restarts this service. Okay, so now we're done here. Everything is configured. The OpenLM Broker is configured to watch the license manager fully. We've gone over all the different checkboxes, all the different commands. We understood what is the debug log importance. We understood what we can get from the license file, all the features and the amounts and the expiration dates and all that. And now we can move on to the OpenLM server. We'll continue in the flow and we'll move on to the OpenLM server to configure this license manager. So let's close that and close the license manager as well. And let's open up the OpenLM server that we had here. And we see the OpenLM configuration tool here, but let's close that now and open up the interface, the OpenLM interface. So to make it easy, you just go to your applications. Let's go to OpenLM, and we have OpenLM user interface. Let's click on that, and it opens this link. Now this link, you see it's localhost, blah, 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 blah. The local host here can be changed. So now I'm accessing it using the name of the server, Win10 demo. That means that if I take this link and I go to my machine right here, I'll open a new tab. I'll just put the link there and let's see. Now I'm able to connect to the OpenLM server from my machine. I don't have to go to the OpenLM server machine in order to view the data. I can use it using any browser from any connected machine. It can be even on the phone, on your phone. So let's just select the time zone, start it up, and we want to configure the license manager. Now there are two ways to configure the license manager, either manually or you can just click approve here. So once you configure a broker, it will send out data to the OpenLM server, and then you'll get this line. This line is saying that you have from this host, from this port, you have someone sending data to you. So you can approve it and give it a name. So Autodesk License Manager. Let's click Save. And now I see that it's not configured all the way. So what do I need to do? I need to go to Services, OpenLM Server, and just restart the service. And once this refreshes, we see the license manager here. Now, it says no broker, but in about 2 to 3 minutes, here it's starting, in about 2 to 3 minutes, it will get all the information. It will take a bit longer to get the license file and an options file and all that, but mainly after you configure it, wait about 10 minutes. It should be fully configured because it's configuring itself. It's connecting to the OpenLM Broker. It's getting all the handshakes that it needs. It needs to handshake on every file. It needs to store the file. So it takes a while for it to configure itself. Nothing else that we need to actually do right here, but wait. Okay, so let's open up the server configuration tool. And I'm going to show you also how to configure it manually. So you can either just do a search for configure OpenLM server and open that, or you can go, as we did before, to your applications, go to OpenLM, configure OpenLM server. So I click yes. And let's take a look at all the configurations that we have here. Let's try to understand this configuration screen. So first you should select the type, of course. Give it a descriptive name. Select the time zone. Now the time zone, it's the time zone of the license manager. So it says here Pacific Time USA Canada. If I go to my license manager, let's go there. We went here to the license manager, and we want to check out what time is it. So the time zone of it right here is Pacific Time USA Canada. So this is what we need to set in the OpenLM server right here. This is what we need to set. This is the license manager time zone. Sample rate means like it will get the data every 60 seconds and see if it changed. If it's a triad configuration, just click on it and it will give you more places to write the host name, 3 places to be exact. You can write the host name in port right here. Now make sure that the host name here and the host name in the license manager are the same. What do I mean? Let's open up the broker and I'll show you. So make sure that this host name on the broker and this host name in the server are the same. Not that one has an IP and the other has a host name, one has a fully qualified domain name, the other has just a host name. The same on 2 places. If it's fully qualified domain name, then on both places. Now once we click test, it tests out this port. Now clicking this test doesn't mean that it goes out to the broker. It bypasses the broker. It simply connects to this port. That's it. So if you see test, you have problems with your broker, but you click test and it works, and you say, but it's not getting data. So know that it's bypassing the broker. It's not getting to the broker even if you click test. So let's take a look at the checkboxes we got here. First of all, we have 2 checkboxes here that pretty much cancel each other out. So if we set it like this, read license file, if you remember on the OpenLM Broker, we had a license file, a vendor supplied license file. Let's go back here, we see this one, this license file. So you can set it to be read or not, however you decide, in the OpenLM server. So read license file, of course, requires an OpenLM broker because we set the license on the OpenLM broker. OpenLM server remotely queries license manager. That means that if you have a broker there or you don't have a broker there, it doesn't matter. It goes directly to that port and that host name, just like the test does. Now, you say, okay, so why not connect directly? That's the fastest and best way, right? Well, wrong. You lose out on all the benefits of the broker. So if OpenLM server goes down, you lose data. You will have gaps in your memory, in your database. If you wanted to get denials, if you wanted to get the license output, so checking this checkbox means that you won't get any of those benefits. You'll just get what you can get from here, which is the amount of licenses and the amount currently used. That's it. So just to recap on it, because it's important, I've seen a lot of issues with it. This goes out directly to the license manager. This goes out to the broker, but with read license file. If you remove that and have all of them unchecked, that means that you are using a broker. You don't have a license file in the broker, but you are using a broker. And the last one is denied licenses can be granted by another server. So if you try to get a license, but you get denied, so you say that the system is able to go to another server to get the license from there, and then you won't see in the OpenLM system that denial. You'll be able to filter it out. So this is the automatic way. As you've seen, we just click here, approve, and then it approved it and added it. You see it's already configured. It took like a few minutes, but it's configured. I see my license file and everything here. And you can also create it yourself, meaning that you can click add and just fill out the same things that you have here, all the details, nothing's changed, to create a new license manager if you want, and then another one and so on. So this test, how can you do that? We said before with the OpenLM Broker that the broker is using an LM util. He's using a file to read from the port. Well, the OpenLM Server also reads from a file, from the same file. So if we go to LM Tools tab right here, we see many different license manager types. Let's take a look at FlexLM. We see that it's pointing to program files, OpenLM, OpenLM Server, LM, LM util. So it's using the default OpenLM Server LM util, which is a bad thing to do. As I reminded you, it can cause inconsistencies between your data and your FlexLM version. So we have an LM util at a certain version, but you might be using a different FlexLM version, meaning that you'll need to put here the LM util of the license manager. Don't count on the default OpenLM LM util. It might be okay, but don't count on it. Just copy the LM util to this machine. You can even copy it to this folder, yeah, but don't count on the default OpenLM executable. So if, for example, I add another, I don't know, let's add another license manager, let's say, I don't know, DSLS, and let's test. And it tells us that the path is not of a legal form. Oh, what's going on here? Well, it's because the DSLS here is not set. We need to find the DS leak serve. Okay, so a bit of troubleshooting that you can do on your own. Now, one more cool thing that you can set is the notifications right here. It's probably something that you didn't know about. You can set your SMTP server details, set a recipient, and get notified when an OpenLM software version has been released. So when we release 4.4, you can get notified using your own SMTP server. Next, we have the Advanced tab, which gives you a lot of advanced functionality. Let's take a look at each one. First of all, require login credentials. If you want to set different roles to OpenLM, then you'll need to set an admin credential. So it will be, I don't know, admin, admin, admin. And next time I want to access OpenLM, I will, the EasyAdmin, the interface, I will have to input the password. So what is these? What are these checkboxes? First, support space in usernames. Sometimes usernames have spaces in them, so you won't have a username that's Sagi in one word. You'll have a username that's called Reuven Sagi, 2 words. So you can support the space in the username, and then OpenLM will know, oh, okay, so this one is one user. It's not 2 users. It's not user and his workstation. It's 1 user. So you can tell OpenLM to view that. Update product feature table and feature packages. That means that you update the product names. If we go to the Start Administration inside the OpenLM interface, then we'll be able to set the different names. So let's go to Product Packages. And let's say that 2D pack, I don't want it to be 2D pack, I want it to be 2D pack 2. So that's it. I changed it. If I fix it, is fixed, I just like fix it to the wall and it doesn't move from here. Then I click save, then it will save this feature with this product name. So I'll be able to recognize it next time I view it. So this button, it updates all the registries right here. So if 2D pack, it says that, okay, this is 2D pack. It downloads everything. You update it from the internet. So if you use one of them or both of them, be sure that you're connected to the internet. And this updates the features and packages. If you go to administration and go to, where is it now? It's in, oh no, it's in product packages. Yes, my mistake. So it sets the different packages. Like you see, this is a package and all these are a part of that package. So it will get all the packages. Why should you do that? Well, because every year new packages come out. Like there's Autodesk 2016, 2017, 2018, and different packages for each one. So I suggest once a year, just update product, update features, and you have the correct names. Now, store user usage information anonymously. That means that you can anonymize your whole database. You won't see any users inside. So if you have security issues with it, so you can store users as an anonymous user. They'll just be user 1, user 2, user 3. That's it. And resolve workstation names in case you have some names with space, without spaces, so you can do that every day. The OpenLM system goes over all the users and validates its work. Now we got the port settings right here. We finished with advanced, by the way. Let's go to port settings. And we see a few ports here and that we can use SSL. So this is like the agent port, the license manager port, meaning that it connects to the broker using this port. This is the user interface, but anyway, if you need to change those ports, you can. And lastly, we got the LDAP, which I will not go too deep into it because it's an extension and we're not going over the extensions right now. But basically, you'll be able to select your node in your Active Directory and group them. First of all, get them all into the OpenLM database, but you could group them as well. You can group them by the hierarchy, for example. Let's give it a name. Group them by their hierarchy, so each OU will become a group, or maybe flat, maybe all the users under that node. I want to call sales Germany. Okay, so everybody within that node that I chose will be under sales Germany. Or I can do it by user attribute, like if I choose department, for example. So everybody with attribute in their Active Directory of department will be grouped the same, meaning that let's say I have in my Active Directory department support, and I have a friend that's department sales. So I will go into group support and he will go into group sales. So it will look at the department and different values it has and group users accordingly. And that's about it for this screen. And if we go to the license interface, to the user interface right here, we can see the license manager that we configured. If we click Start Widgets License Servers, we'll be able to get to this machine, to this window. So let's pull AutoCAD just for us to see our usage right here. And meanwhile, I'm going to install the OpenLM Agent. I have like 10 minutes left. I'll install the OpenLM Agent as well and show you all the different configurations with the OpenLM Agent. So let's leave it running right now and double click Active Agent. Just next, agree, next, up, back. Let's install also the App Manager. So when installing, it pops up a question and it tells you, oh, I found that you have AutoCAD right here. Do you want to install the extension? The AutoCAD extension of the agent, it's something that connects to your AutoCAD, directly to the AutoCAD. It connects to a service that AutoCAD has. They have an API, and we connected to that API of that application. So we have a few here that you can connect to. We have a few extensions. So on this machine, it found AutoCAD. Then great. If you want also to use the agent with the App Manager, you also install that. Next, you choose where you want to install it. Next, next. And to remind you, the OpenLM agent is installed on the end user workstation. Now I'm installing it on the same machine right here just for testing purposes, just for demonstration purposes. But it should be on the workstations. So you don't need to go workstation by workstation by workstation, 1,000 workstations like that, of course not. You can just simply roll out the workstation from this machine. From a central machine, you roll out, silently roll out to all the workstations that are connected. You roll out the installation of the OpenLM agent to them, and that's it. They don't know that they even have it. And if they see it, they can't close it. If they close it, they can't kill it. There are a few measures that prevent users from closing this the agent. Even if they are able to finally close it somehow, then after 30 seconds, it will just be created again. The process will run again. It's very persistent, this agent. So what do we have here? Of course, that we have two tabs. First, we have the general and OpenLM App Manager. And of course that you can set the language that you want. Connect to the OpenLM server. So it's Win10 demo. Let's check connectivity. We see it's connecting. This is the configuration file that it goes to. Now, these ones are less important, but I'm going to quickly go over them. Maximum number of lines in agent console. The console of the agent, if you write down console, then you'll be able to see what the agent is viewing, what the agent is doing right now. So you can set up to be 1,000 lines. Use local computers proxy settings. So it depends on your system if you have proxy settings. Shut agent down when products are inactive after like 180 seconds. And skip double instance alert. So for example, you open up 2 instances of the agents, you can skip the alert of it. And timeout, you can set, let's say 120 seconds. So let's click apply and approve. And now what I want to show you is how to configure the AutoCAD right here to be closed, to first monitor idle time and then close the application. So let's see. Let's first close this. Let's start off new. Let's go to Start, Administration, Process Features, and I see this feature, the AutoCAD feature with Process ACAD. This is the process. If you run AutoCAD and take a look at the Task Manager, we see the process is named ACAD. So the agent is taking a look, is looking at this process to see if anything changed. So double clicking on it, we see a window popping up. We'll set those two, this to 3, this to 3, this to 0. I'll explain in a minute what I'm doing. So this screen enables you to set when you would like to release licenses automatically. Now, the OpenLM has an extension for closing and releasing closing applications and releasing the licenses. So you can tell it to do an extension, which it closes the application and releases the license. I can also do suspension, which suspends the application and releases the license, or a procedure, which runs a custom command, a CMD command, on the license manager itself. On the workstation itself. So what do we have here? It says that it will start releasing licenses after the feature is stressed. So let's say 95%. Let's say you have 100 licenses, 95 are currently checked out. So around this 95%, 96%, the system will start releasing licenses if you tell it to. But whose licenses will it release? So whoever has idle time of, let's say, 1 hour. So if the licenses are stressed, meaning it's going to be maxed out, then start releasing licenses. But whose? Someone that has 1 hour of idle time, meaning that they're not using the application. They pull the license, but they're not using the application. And we can set the idle time to start tracking after 3 minutes. And how does the system know that it's idling? Because of its processor time, user usage, and I/O data operations per second, meaning the CPU and memory usage allocated to the exact specific application, in this case Autodesk. So we set the threshold right here because Autodesk, the threshold of 2 is pretty okay because the idling threshold, usage of it is around 0.5%. Every application has its own threshold, but this is how the system knows that it's idle, meaning that even if they have an engineer has something running at night, the system will tell that the application is working, is doing something, it's above this threshold, so it will not close the application. Okay, so let's save that and click Add All Vendor Features. These are all the features for that vendor. So it's important to add that as well. And we have that configured. We have an extension that will start just for testing purposes after 0% and just about, I don't know, 3 minutes. Okay, so now we have the agent set up, the broker set up, the server set up. Let's just open AutoCAD like we are an engineer, like we are an end user trying to put a license. Here we go, we pulled the license. So let's just minimize it, let it idle for now. And we'll go back to our system. So let's go to Win10 demo. I have it here, sorry. So it takes about a minute. As you remember, I showed you that the sample rate, if we go to the server, the sample rate of it is 60 seconds. So I open AutoCAD, we're still not seeing it. Why? Because the sample rate is 60 seconds, so it has not gone over 60 seconds yet. And there we go. Click on the used. We'll be able to see myself. So this is me. This is my feature I'm using, Autodesk Infrastructure. And right around here, after like 3 minutes, we will be able to see the idle time of the application. But what if, here we go, we start seeing the idle time. But what if we don't want to just see idle time, we want to close the application? So either it can be done automatically, as I've told you before, or just click close app, and the application, after a minute or two, just closes automatically. And I think that's about it. I've been talking for like an hour now. I have gone over the installation of the OpenLM Agent. I've gone over the installation of the OpenLM Server. We've also seen the installation of the OpenLM Broker on the License Manager. And that's about it. I don't want to overload you with data or with information. So I won't be covering the app manager, the reporting hub, the router, all different extensions, all the different reports. For that, we have other webinars. For the reports, we have core functionality webinar. For the extensions, we have empower your end user webinar. We also have a workshop such as this, but on reports, meaning that we'll go over the reports and see how we can combine them to get new insights on the OpenLM system. But as of now, I would like to thank you very, very much for joining me. I hope it was informative. I know it was kind of tedious because it's a lot of checkboxes, it's a lot of configurations, it's not really fun and visual. So I try to make it as informative as I can. I hope that you learned something that you didn't know. Because this is what it's all about, just to give you the ability to know something that you didn't know. Even if you already have OpenLM installed and you have everything configured, now you know most of the checkboxes. You know what they do exactly. And that's it. If you have any questions, I will stay here for the next 10 minutes. If you have any questions, go ahead. You can use the questions box of GoToWebinar. Just write down the question and I'll be happy to answer. But for everyone else, if you don't have any questions, so I thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day. If you have any more questions, let us know. Call us up at support@openlm.com. If you want anything license related, send to sales@openlm.com. And that's it. I'm open for your questions. Go ahead. Oh, you are very welcome, Anuj. Okay, I have a question here. Is the OpenLM agent a paid extra? Now, if you want to know more about the OpenLM agent, we have the Empower End Users webinar. You can just view that. We have a few recordings online. You can go and search us on YouTube, on Vimeo, on our website. You can just search for our webinar recordings. We have that. The agent has two stages. It can be either free with the core product, which has a few benefits, or as I've showed you now, with the idle time and save and close options, which are extended, which are added functionality to OpenLM Agent. Oh, thank you, Graham. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. You're welcome, James. Okay, if any of you are still interested in viewing, it closed the AutoCAD right here. We got a message popping up. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.